I'm really thrilled to finally see everybody and gather. As everybody knows, it's been a tricky few months, maybe 4 or 5 months now. So a couple of housekeeping items. We're going to be recording this. We're also going to be taking questions at the end. Amy has a lot of great content to share, and so I'll be keeping an eye on chat, but hopefully if you have any pressing questions, they'll get addressed at the end. I also wanted to just say thank you to Amy Infante. She is the CEO and visionary for GitGo. Great friend to HSMAI, especially during these times. I know she's going to give us some uplifting advice, some concrete advice. Her company specializes in really focusing on data and then marrying that with sales strategies. And I know she's done a lot of homework for this event. So rather than continue to talk, I'm going to let her take it away. Oh, she's muted though. Amy, you there? Oh, she's muted.
Yeah, I think she's saying, hold on.
Okay.
We can't hear you though. Ask to unmute. There you go.
Now can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, thank you guys. We will get this all figured out with the lovely technology. I'm going to share my screen again. Jessica, I did go ahead and send you the link to this presentation just in case something crazy happens and I lose access again. But to jump right in, I want to tell you guys a story. A couple years ago, I was working with a hotel. My team and I were working with a hotel in a major market. In a downtown market, they had a conglomerate, a group of properties, and we presented them with an opportunity of a piece of business worth over 2,000 room nights for their hotel group. It was a great scope fit lead. We were super excited about it. We had all the great information to share with them. And when we presented it to the hotel, the director of sales and marketing kind of just missed the lead. And it didn't surprise me, unfortunately, because that wasn't the first time that that had ever happened. And it certainly wasn't the last time that it had ever happened. But if you go back, way back, you know, even to 2019, which seems like a decade ago, you'll remember where we were in this crunch of responsiveness and transactional sales. And the reason this particular director of sales and marketing dismissed the lead was because the business opportunity was about a year out from the time that we presented it to the hotel. And she was like, Amy, I get it, but we need business now. We need business today. How can you help me find business today? And the reason it really struck me is because, again, that wasn't the first time that that happened. But I finally had just said, you know what, I've had enough. We have to do things differently in the industry, and we really need to figure out how to be proactive and use process and system and our people and our mindset to go after new business development in the way that other industries are doing it and being successful at it. And our team has been doing this for 15 years. We're well practiced at it, and we're well positioned to help hotels through this. Today, more than ever, we have to get in the right mindset and frame of mind to proactively sell, proactively have these conversations with customers in a different way than what you might think. So that's what I want to talk to you about today is really, you know, that's why we're here. Long before COVID-19 hit, this has been a need for our industry to really figure out how can we be authentically proactive in a way that drives revenue to our business. So with that, I want to share with you, you know, why do I have the credibility to be here with you today? At GitGo, we really value discretion. So you're not going to hear me talk about specific customers and shout out names of the chains and the brands that we work with necessarily, because they like us to be a well-guarded secret weapon. We are behind the scenes in the background. I have a team of almost 40 people that are constantly working to do proactive conversation with potential businesses on behalf of our hotel partners. We also guide and consult and are seen as a trusted advisor for our chain partners, hotel owner operators, independent hotels, brands, you name it. We've worked in all 50 states and 8 different countries. Last year alone, we served over 8,000 hotels with our various services. So we're a full service agency that focuses on the small and mid-sized customers. So the non-global sales, non-national sales is really our sweet spot. And we work in the B2B segment. So that's across all market segments, you know, SMERF, corporate, association, government, but those B2B buyers. We are insights driven. We say our customer scorecard is our scorecard. We are solutions oriented. We really work to drive that voice of the customer to our hotel partners. So I just put out a video that my marketing manager is probably going to launch sometime today as an encouragement to active sellers that you are the eyes, the ears, and the voice of your customer. And that's how we look at ourselves, is we are the voice of the customer. We are bringing that to our hotel partners so that they can really understand and lock in and respond to those insights that we can glean directly from the customers. So this isn't part of my presentation, but think of this. Right now, we've got all these great surveys and polls out there for the industry asking customers, asking businesses, when are they going to get back to business and back to travel? That's really great information for our industry as a whole, but the best intelligence you can gather today is speaking directly to your customers in your market for your hotel. And the way to do that is to have conversations. Okay, so we're going to talk about that today. I don't think I have to spend too much time on this. Pre-COVID-19, we knew that there was a lot of industry disruptors out there, a lot of distraction. We talked a ton in the HSMAI Sales Advisory Board about cross-functional collaboration between sales, marketing, revenue management. That's still a thing. We got to still, tackle that. And I think a lot of what's going on today is really accelerating some of those plans and things for us as an industry. But today's concerns are, when are markets going to be reopening? When is it safe to reopen? When is it safe to market to the customers, right? The rapid digitization, digital marketing, the new innovation that we have, what are the traveler's intent, right? Sometimes we talk about the business intent to get back out there, but where does the traveler intent fall into place with that as well? Again, cross-functional collaboration, the changes to the different habits and needs of our customers. But at the end of the day, really, nothing changes all that much if you're in sales, marketing, and revenue management, because what we're really trying to do is make sure that we have proactively created a business development plan so that the goal can be to fill every room predictably. And people think that I'm nuts. Like, how can you do that predictably today, Amy? There's so much uncertainty and so many things happening and so much change. But I'm here to tell you that at GitGo, we have been able to help our customers have a sense of more insights and intelligence around their business because of the way we approach the new business development and the proactive sales approach that I'm going to share with you. So we did a 3-year look back. We did an analysis, a study at the end of 2019, which was really timely, but it was a 3-year look back on all the conversations that we've had with customers, and we came up with what we call the rule of 7+. So I'm going to share that with you today, but in order to do that, we need to talk a little bit about what is the size of prize? Why is this important, right? Why is it important that, and why am I so passionate about dispelling some of the false beliefs that I'm seeing consistently out there in our industry around new business development? what are the 3 core competencies we need to understand as a market, as an industry, and then a framework, and how do we apply that to the day-to-day, right? Like, all this is great in theory, Amy, but how do we actually apply this, especially in the times that we're in today? So again, feel free to chat, and I'll answer questions at the end as best that I can. But what it comes down to on this is we need to ensure that we understand the size of prize out there. And things are changing, right? But really, is it changing that much? You need to capture more than your fair share of the B2B buyer opportunity. And I understand that the B2B buyer opportunity that we're seeing out there is less, right? There's no doubt about that. But you can still capture your fair share or more of that by doing these. So let's stop focusing the mindset around what isn't, what used to be, what is not there today, and let's focus on what is out there, right? There's still essential travel. There's still, we're seeing great opportunities in certain market sectors and industries, depending on what market you're in. So we have to start looking at the positive, and I get called a Pollyanna all the time. I think I trigger people and make them upset because I constantly am talking about the good, the opportunity, but that's why I'm here, is to illuminate possibility and inspire action in the sales industry for hospitality. So what we found in our study is that 89% of the business uncovered is outside the perceived buying cycle. So that's important to keep in mind today, because you're not seeing, I would imagine, you're not seeing a ton of inbound RFP requests. You're not getting flooded like you maybe were back in 2019 or even in January. But it's in terms of proactive business development, it has always been truth that, this is 3 years back, right? 89% of the business that we discovered was not in that 0 to 3 month booking window, okay? So let's just keep that in mind as we move forward. So what do I mean by that? So we're getting the buying cycle and the booking window a bit confused in our industry sometimes. And I see it all the time and hear it. And that's where this particular director of sales was when they said, I get it, but I need business today. 3% of your target audience is ready to buy at any given time. This is through a really great entrepreneur. His name is Jeremy Miller, and he has a company called Sticky Branding. So this is not my rule. The rule of 3% is his rule. I'm not sure if he borrowed that from somebody or made it up himself, but it's through research, and it basically is across all industries, not just hospitality, but any service or product that you're selling. It says 3% of the buyers are ready to purchase at any given time. The rest, the 97%, is navigating their buying journey. So when we say buying cycle, that's the buying journey. Booking window is what you're seeing when you get RFP requests, right? It's through all those lead sources that you receive where the buyer is already in their more of their booking window, okay? So that's really important to keep in mind and to understand that that is not sustainable. 3% at any given time is not sustainable, because you got to think about that spreading out among lots of different competitors, and that just means that they're ready to purchase. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily in the know of what you can offer. So we got to catch them sooner. We need to catch the 97% in this other part of their process. And that's really what we're talking about when we talk about the rule of 7+ in the commoditization zone, which I'll walk you through here in a minute. So I put this part of this presentation together for the HSMAI Marketing Strategy Conference back in January, and I changed the number. So in January, I had quick spend $100,000. because we were living in a world where we were seeing these large purchases and big meetings coming in. And I also wanted to show you in terms of the small and mid-sized companies, the backyard, your drive market, your feeder market of B2B, that even asking a small and mid-sized company to quick spend $10,000 is kind of ridiculous, right? Just think about your own business, your own organization. How long would it take for you to requisition $10,000? You know, if you had a piece of technology that you knew was going to be really helpful for your organization, especially today, I would imagine that you would be going through a committee of people to get that passed. And that actually happens across business sectors, across buyers. And we have to keep that in perspective. It seems so simple. And I know some of you might be like, duh, Amy, of course. But we forget that when we're going through the process of proactively reaching out to customers and understanding their business needs, that they are not going to necessarily have the ability to say yes in a short time window. It's got to go through a process, and they're probably going through a lot of that process. If you're sitting back and not proactively reaching out to them, they're going through that process whether you're connecting or not. And once they come to you, they've already gone through that. And so that's why it's hard for us to see sometimes what's happening in the background. The other thing that I want to point out that's really important in today's world, because I'm trying to tie this all into, you know, what we're all living through, is that a confused mind never buys. And right now, more than ever, we have to, as sellers, as marketers, it is our job to deliver confidence, peace of mind, and as much clarity as possible to prospects and control what we can control. We cannot control their buying timing, right? But we can control how we deliver our messages through our nurture and follow-up processes to ensure that we are delivering a confident message, giving peace of mind and as much clarity as possible around what we are doing and what we are controlling within inside our organization. So just to keep that in mind. So backing up on this rule of 7+, I really wanted to answer two important questions, and I think these questions are more important now than ever. One is proactive business development in the B2B space worth it? I am seeing so much chatter these days in, like, it's almost like we're living in two worlds, right? There's the mindset that we've got to go all digital, clients don't want to be bothered, there's, you know, it's a dying breed doing this proactive business development. And then there's others who are saying it's working, I can see it happening, I can measure the results. So we wanted to actually look back at our business intelligence from all of our projects and be able to see, you know, is it worth it? And can we quantify it, right? Because if you can't quantify it today, how are you ever going to ensure that your hotel owners are, you know, having a good cash flow situation? How can you share the insights without really understanding what the quantifiable information is around that? So we took the value of our insights basically that we reviewed is we had over 500,000 buyer interviews per year, averaging over 30,000 hours of conversation with these buyers. That equated to about $255 million in sales qualified leads, meaning that these leads were scope fit to our hotel partners. We broke it down and just focused on the properties that we worked with that were specifically focused on the B2B segment, small and mid-sized companies. So mostly like the backyard or the drive market, feeder markets, non-global accounts, not national accounts. And we worked in about 50 different markets that were across all sectors of you know, large, major markets down to tier 3 tertiary markets. And we came up with what we call the rule of 7+. And what the rule of 7+ is it basically states that at any given point when you start engaging proactively with prospects, the majority of that business will be 7+ months out, which really just, you know, drives home the message that you have to be consistent with your proactive efforts, because in order to get a robust pipeline where you're not in that feast and famine mode, even if you're in a market that has, you know, very differentiated seasonality, the rule of 7+ is even more important. And here is the gist of what comes out of that, what I really want to take you all through. And I want to make sure I've got plenty of time here. So there's 3 core competencies and kind of the wave of how the buyer's journey looks. So, and we've broken it down into 3 segments: hidden revenue zone, influence zone, and the commoditization zone. So the commoditization zone, I feel like we've done a really good job in our industry of creating this RFP response for ourselves, right? We've got the technology in place. We've got rules around it, you know, response times and all of that great stuff. But the challenge with this is, and the reason why I don't love the commoditization zone, although I know it's necessary for our business, is that literally is that 3% of the market that's ready to buy. And if we just sit and wait for that, we will never sustain our business the way we need to. So it's really important that we focus on the hidden revenue zone and the influence zone. So take it from a buyer's perspective. A buyer, there's a need that's been triggered inside their organization. There's a reason why they need to meet or need to travel. They've identified it. So they start to research, and usually that happens on their own. So statistics show that between buyers say that they do 60 to 70% of their research, sometimes even more, before they even reach out to a seller to engage. So they're in this all by themselves, right? We're doing the research. Then they're evaluating their different solutions once they've kind of narrowed things down, and they start to make a case internally within their own stakeholders as to, you know, why they need to choose this particular location or whatever, and then they reach out, okay? So really important to understand that. And when you go in and look at the compressed sales cycle, this is that commoditization zone. The other reason I don't like this is because it's a stressful zone to be in, right? How many of you have ever received an RFP and you were told you have less than 24 hours to respond, right? And you've never probably spoken to the customer before, and you just have to respond based on the information you've been given. So you'd love to do some discovery, ask more questions. You'd love to build trust and rapport. I mean, that's what salespeople do, right? We're relationship driven, but you don't have the time to do that, nor do they give you the opportunity in a lot of cases. Then you're analyzing, presenting, handling objections, all that in a very tight, compressed time frame. So our suggestion to our customers is that you want to shift that discovery phase into the hidden revenue zone. So reaching out to customers before they reach out to you, identifying those targets and those opportunities that are out there before they get into this compressed zone. And also you can start building that rapport and building those relationships. So we have a customer that we started working with in October of 2019. And discovered, as an example, a piece of business that said that they had opportunity for October of 2020. So over the course of that time period, basically between October and January of 2020, we put them into a nurture cycle and a cadence of follow-up to really understand, build rapport, understand what was important to them. And in January, they reached out to our salesperson and said, okay, we're going to be sending an RFP because that's part of our process. We need to send this RFP out. We have to, it's mandated that we send it to, you know, so many hotels, but we're going to give it to you early. We got it 3 days before everybody else. And we looked at that RFP, and lo and behold, we basically designed the RFP. We had become a trusted advisor to this customer. We ended up winning the business for the hotel because of that, because we had that relationship and we were growing it over time. They trusted us. They gave us the RFP early. That's where you want to be. And with small and mid-sized customers, there's never been a better time to be a trusted advisor. These small and mid-sized companies need you because they need advisors inside the travel industry to help them. They don't have large organizations that are, you know, sending out, you know, they don't work with travel agencies or travel management companies. They're a little bit like reacting, and they need help. So this is the opportunity to build those relationships and build that bridge. To go a little bit deeper, right, into the numbers. So 54% in that 3-year look back, 54% of the revenue opportunity that we discovered was 12 to about 24 months out. That is in the hidden revenue zone. That was business that was scope fit. They were able to tell us the opportunities coming down the pipeline. And our team really capitalized on that again by putting together a nurture and follow-up campaign and a frequency of outreach, because the goal is to move them from hidden to influence to revenue, right? Then 23% of the revenue that we discovered was between 7 to 11 months. Okay, so if you add these two together, that's where we get the 77% of revenue is in that you know, booking window, kind of outside of your perceived buying booking window. The commoditization zone, again, we broke this down into 2 separate pieces. I don't want to go into too much of this reason why. If you guys have questions about this later, I'm happy to answer. But basically within that commoditization zone, the piece that I really want to point out and why this is important is once you are doing proactive outreach enough, you will find companies that have business in a tighter time frame. The challenge is most of them have already gone so far down their path in their buying process that you may not have an opportunity to sway them, to move them to consider your property or your brand or company. And so what we suggest for our clients to do is, that's great, you found them. There's opportunity outside of maybe that one piece of business. So move them back into the influence zone and nurture them there. Build that trust and rapport there. So in this commoditization zone, it's important to point out that only one of the opportunities found in this commoditization zone, in the 0 to 3 month booking window, turned into a proposal. Okay, and it was because they were discovered too late in that buyer's process. The buyer was already too far down their path. Now you can say, well, you should do a better job of convincing, right? And there's ways, and there's, you know, some scripting for that we help our customers with. But a lot of times we don't have control over that piece. You've gotten in front of them too late. So that's why it's so important to start this proactive process much sooner and to keep open-minded about the opportunity there. So how do we apply this? Right? How do we apply all of this information to your business? So I believe that there's 3 categories that we have to look at with all of this, and it's simple. You've been into marketing programs, you probably know it's people, processes, and tools. All right. So I focus a lot of our team's attention at GitGo on mindset. And I want to take you through some of the important pieces around mindset that I see as a gap with a lot of hotel partners. So proactive sales is a necessary long game. You must have that piece in play. And it is not the same as pitching. So a lot of the fear I hear from sellers right now because of COVID-19 is, you know, I don't want to sell. People aren't ready to buy, right? But that's not the point of the outreach that you're making when you're doing prospecting and proactive business development. What you should be focused on is qualifying for the fit. Factor your fit. Are you a good fit for them? Are they a good fit for you? That's all you're doing. It's asking those great qualifying questions and understanding their business needs so that you can be authentically in a position to serve them, right? To serve their needs. So it's discovery. That's what you're really doing right now. The pitch comes later, right? The pitch comes if they're ready, if they're in a place to buy. And that's why we get that confused, I think, with the commoditization zone, because we've had such a great run for a long time of those inbound RFPs coming in. And we're like, okay, it's like pitch after pitch after pitch, right? But the proactive piece is not that. It is qualifying, quantifying, understanding. You should be listening well more than you are speaking in those conversations. Not all sales professionals are wired to hunt, and we have to be honest about this as an industry. And this is a hard topic, but we do assessments all the time inside of GitGo because we have team members who are hunters and team members who are farmers and team members who are marketers. We're more of an agency model. And so it's really important to understand, you know, if you do not love going into conversations and having a really uncertain outcome of how that's going to go, maybe they hang up on you, maybe they're in a bad mood that day, and that freaks you out, then there's some skills possibly that you can work on. There's some things that you can do, but you have to know yourself, right? And know where your strengths are. Because there is a place for the relationship building, the client management. But right now, more than ever, the new business, the prospecting, the research, the qualifying, the having those conversations is critical. And so if you're good at that, if that's a strength, you need to put that out there and get that going. Perfection is not the goal, okay? That's the other piece of mindset. It's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fumble your words. I've fumbled my words in this presentation as well. We are here to understand and serve the customer and try new things, right? We're constantly trying new things at GitGo, trying new technologies, trying new opening techniques, trying new scripts around certain features and benefits that would be helpful for the customer to know. Trying new marketing materials. So it's not about being perfect and knowing all the answers. It's trial and error and giving yourself the grace to go out there and make some mistakes, but also you're going to get wins. If you are in management right now, if you are leading a team of sellers, I just want to make sure that you set clear expectations around being proactive and evaluate your team for who is wired for this work and being honest with yourselves. We've done a lot of that with some of our hotel owner partners and evaluating their sales teams and being really honest and kind of having the hard conversations around who's ready and who needs some more skill building and practice and mentorship in that area. And then measure and scorecard your proactive approach. So we are doing a really good job of measuring things around that compressed sales cycle, right? About looking at close rate and things there. But we should be doing that in the hidden revenue zone and the influence zone. So setting those expectations around scorecarding in those areas is really critical right now. Here's an example of what I mean by that. So we have the monthly view of inbound RFPs on my left-hand side here. You can market by lead source and how many leads are inbound, and then tracking that business to your win rate. The goal is to increase the conversion, obviously, right, within those, but then also it can help you reallocate and prioritize those inbound sources. We don't have time anymore in our industry to continue to just like respond to leads and have a source that just is not working for your hotel. So you really have to be cognizant of that and evaluate where your business is coming from and what your conversion rate is. And in tandem, really evaluating what the team is doing to follow up and nurture those RFPs as well. On the right-hand side is proactively discovered leads, right? So we score all of our leads inside GitGo. If you do not have a lead scoring system, if you're still using hot, warm, and cold as your lead scoring, I encourage you to take another look. We've got to be a little bit more clear, and the lead score needs to match where the buyer is in their process, not what the hotel deems as important. That's part of it, right? But you've got to know where the buyer is in their process. And when you're looking at your lead score, the goal is to progress the leads up the ladder or down the funnel, however you do your lead scoring, and to ensure that you can track your discovery to close ratio as well. So managing the range of the path to purchase is also incredibly important. So I know I'm throwing a lot of content out there at you guys about this stuff, and so we're touching on kind of the things that I feel are really important for us to know and understand. Understanding the voice of the customer will help you create the appropriate messaging. So that's why I'm adamant about making sure that you're having conversations with potential customers, and you're asking quality questions that will help you. So some of those quality questions right now are, what did travel look like for you before, and how do you think that will change? And timing on that. Do you have any idea of when you'll be getting back on the road, when you'll be sending your salespeople out to meet, when you'll be meeting in groups again or small groups? What are your plans around? Are you going to do more virtual, hybrid, multi-hub meetings? Those are the types of questions you want to get to. And it's not all going to come in the first conversation necessarily, but really build up those conversations. Then you want to create from there an email series. And I suggest an email series of about 5 messages that are appropriate, relevant content that will, send out to those companies that are more marketing qualified leads or the lower end of your sales qualified leads. When we're talking with a customer and they know the timing of their opportunity, and they, are ready to engage and know all the details, that I feel is the easy part for most of our sellers in the industry to tackle. It's the part that gets fuzzy is when they don't necessarily know the timing, and they don't, there's a lot of open-ended questions. And so a lot of times I see salespeople drop those leads and drop the ball on them. They fall through the cracks. It's the leaky funnel. If you create this follow-up series of emails and messaging, and you do it in a cadence that makes sense that we teach at GitGo, you will have the opportunity to win more of that business over time. And it's not a light switch. Like I said, this is a long game. But we have had countless wins and successes by using this same cadence and frequency. I do teach the follow-up and nurture frequency model. I'm sorry, we can't go into all that. I could do a whole another session just on that. But I just received an email from one of my coaching clients who said she was very resistant to the frequency that I said needed to happen with the follow-up. And she was like, oh my gosh, it actually works. I'm hearing back from customers that I never would have heard from before. because of this, and was very grateful. So I encourage you to look at that. At least a series of 1 to 5 messages to be created appropriately based on the common themes that you're hearing from your clients. And then build the process to deliver those messages. Just a few quick tips on defining the market. So understanding your backyard for your group and transient potential, and understanding your feeder and drive markets for your group and transient potential. And, you know, we're seeing a lot still going on within the essential business. Every week we are looking at and adjusting target lists and approaches. Universities with housing, still traveling nurses and medical professionals, cleaning companies, a lot of things that happen around transportation, with retail. There's still business out there, and you really have to know your market and understand that. And then, of course, the way to keep in touch with that, if you haven't been doing this, these are just some little reminders. Read the business section of your local news, connect with your economic development, your chamber of commerce, the government entities that are right there in the backyard, so you can stay in touch with what's going on. And then there's also technology resources that you can use that share project type of business that's coming into the market. So new construction is still happening. Those construction crews are getting back out there. We've had a lot of that business come through and actually contract over the last month or so. But the key is really that these conversations lead to insights, which lead to opportunity, which lead to cash. And we have to be patient and go through that process. And I know that that's hard because as sellers, we're wired to be achievers and to see the number and to, you know, check the box and move on. And it's a new way of working and a new story that you have to tell yourself when you're going through this. Tools. Okay, I'm almost done. I know I don't want to go too much further over, but it's really important that we don't rely on the intuition of sellers alone for the follow-up and nurture process that needs to happen. Like I said, what we're talking about today is not those inbound RFPs that know their rate, dates, and space, but the companies that you talk to ahead of that there's a lot of open-ended questions and that we need to continue to nurture over time. And the hotels that we see winning these, you know, millions of dollars that we're booking in, those are happening over periods of time because sales teams are staying consistent with them. So evaluate, you know, your current capabilities and needs with that. So do you have a system that can auto send those email campaigns, that nurture campaign? That would be really cool if you did. And if you do, take some time now to set that up appropriately. Do you have visibility to when you send emails to see who's clicking and opening those emails? Because that can trigger the next action step for you. It can trigger you to make a follow-up phone call or to send that next level of message or both. So that would be really cool. I know not everybody has the capability to do that, but some of your systems have it and you just haven't used it yet. So take time, because usually we're in the throes, right? And we're so busy and we're handling all this inbound, we don't take the time to set these things up appropriately. So this is, like I said, a long game, and there's some things that you can do today immediately. There's lots of simple tools that have free subscriptions, Calendly, to do a Calendly link to schedule appointments with customers on their time. They're used to using some of these tools internally, so apply that, right, to your sales process because that's what your customers are used to. Also, Zoom is very common, right? So now you can use that. We all know how to use Zoom. But then how do you adapt that for long-term success for you as a seller, right? The way you stay relevant and competitive as a salesperson in the industry will be if you can adopt these new ways of technology, if you can move swiftly and pick up on them and adapt them into your own sales process. And again, you know, this is just going back to building the triggers into your tool so that you don't have to rely on your own intuition. And some of you, if you're not using a sales CRM, or if you have one and you're not actually putting information into it, now's the time to start using that CRM. Now's the time to practice and get it right. We're working with a lot of customers right now on revamping the rules of engagement around their systems and tools, and then teaching the sales teams on how to use that and make it better and be more efficient and effective. It's all about that. The more effective you can be as a seller, you stay relevant. Okay, so that wraps up the actual content portion of this, and I know I went over what I said I would, but I appreciate everybody's attention. And if you want some free resources, you can always go to the GitGo website and grab information from there. And I would love to engage more. So if there's questions, to open it up. I don't see any questions, Jess. Are they hidden from me?
No, I don't see any either. I don't see questions come through.
I kind of fed you guys through a fire hose with a lot of information. Some of this could be just reminders for you, and if that's the case, wonderful. I would just say cognitive awareness and emotional congruency are different. So make sure that if you are aware, then apply, start putting it into practice, right? And if you get stuck, or if there's something that you feel is a roadblock, and it's, you know, I don't understand, please reach out. My contact information is on the next slide.
Thank you.
Here's my contact. I am an open door, and I love to connect with sellers that are, you know, rolling up your sleeves and out there doing it. I know you guys, it's a tough road out there. I definitely don't discount that. But we are such a strong and resilient group of people. I know we'll get through this.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So, Jess, are you still on the line?
Yeah. So just as a reminder, we will send this out probably in like 48 hours as a recording. And it was really nice of Amy to be such an open book and give her contact information. I got a bunch of tips that I wrote down. So really appreciate it. And send any questions either to me or Amy, and keep up the good work, everyone.
Thank you so much. Stay safe, everyone.
Yeah, stay strong, guys. Keep your
Thank you,
chins up.
Amy.
We'll get through it. Bye-bye.
Bye.